Hi, everybody. On behalf of the Detroit Institute of Arts, I'd like to welcome you and thank you for choosing to spend some time with us this afternoon. Um, in honor of Day of the Dead, the DIA, we are celebrating and taking a deep dive into our special exhibition, Ofrendas, Celebrating El Dia de Muertos, which is an annual exhibition that we've held at the DIA for the past 8 years, and it features the work of local artists who have put it together ofrendas or altars for someone that they have loved who has passed away, or someone who has influenced them that has passed away, in the tradition of the Mexican Day of the Dead holiday. If you've had a chance to come see it in the exhibition, awesome. If not, you still have a chance. It's on view through next Sunday, November 8th. We do our best to make the visit as safe as can be during the COVID-19 pandemic. We do recommend making advance reservations, but the exhibition is free with regular museum admission, which is, of course, free for all of our Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb County residents. So if you're able to come, we do hope that you come and you visit. If not, and we understand that not everyone is able to come during this time, this exhibition features the DIA's first fully accessible online virtual exhibition. So you can hop onto our website, dia.org/ofrendas2020, and you can view the entire exhibition online. And today we're going to talk with the remaining of our artists. If you had a chance to view us earlier in the day, or you can go a little bit further down the feed and rewatch the live streams. We've been talking with all of our artists today. They've been going a bit deeper into the inspiration and meaning of their altars and talking a little bit about the Day of the Dead in general. So I'm very excited to have some of our artists here today. We have been having some connection issues, so unfortunately Brenda Dreyer will not be able to join us today, and our moderator Maria Elena Rodriguez will not be able to join us for this program. But after that, I'm excited to introduce to you our first artist for this group. We have Belinda Coble and Jennifer Nance. They work together.
Hey.
So if you guys could talk about your piece for a little
Jen
bit.
lost her camera.
Oh no. Well, Belinda, can you talk to us a little bit about your piece?
I sure can. Yes, I'm sitting next to my router. So, yes, this is dedicated to our Aunt Chris, who we lost to breast cancer on June 1st. My sister and I, my sister was the one who saw the proposal, the call for proposals, and we talked about it and decided that would be a really nice way to honor her. And I've long loved the idea of Day of the Dead and ofrendas, and the paternal side of my family is from Mexico. So I've always had a little something on the mantle for my grandmother, my brother, any dearly departed person. So this was an undertaking for us because we have no engineering skills. Anyway, we tried to stick with a traditional ofrenda. So we studied a lot of photos online and studied meanings and symbols, and wanted to make sure the elements were represented, as well as make it kind of glowy and sparkly, because that's the kind of person she was. So that's it. We were thrilled when the proposal was accepted, and our whole family has been very supportive. We miss her very much. Her life was, about music and movies and good food. So we wanted to make sure we included those elements too. She was a lot of fun.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Jennifer. Sorry, Belinda, for sharing that. I love all of the little pieces in this one. And you can't really see it that great on the online exhibition, but when you're in person, it's just such a joy to go and see, and you can really get a sense of who Chris was. All right,
Oh,
now
I'm
we're
glad to
going
hear that.
to
Thank you.
we're going to move on to KT Lowe, who worked with Jeff Reynolds on a piece. KT, how are you?
I'm good, thank you
Could,
very much.
could you tell us a little bit about your piece?
Of course I can. So we saw the listing for this. God, we've actually come to every single Day of the Dead exhibition at the DIA since you started doing it. It's something that we look forward to every single year, and we just wanted to participate this time around. So we were thrilled to come up with something that was interesting and very different from anything else we'd ever seen. Jeff and I are both academics. So I'm a librarian at Indiana University East, but I'm from the Detroit area. And Jeff is a instructor at Macomb Community College. We both specialize in different things. So he's an engineering instructor. As a librarian, I kind of work with all different majors. And together we noticed that our students and frankly our friends and family had succumbed to one of the common maladies of our time, which is misinformation and fake news. And we also noticed that there was a lot of mistrust in news and current events and traditional news streams. Since my major interest of research is misinformation, fake news, and things of that nature, we wanted to come up with something that addressed the fake news problem in a succinct, informative, intellectual way. And so this was kind of a tangible idea. We created it as a old-fashioned newsstand. So we looked at pictures of newsstands in Europe, newsstands in New York, ones in Toronto, and came up with an old-fashioned kiosk. There's magazines behind the skeleton. The skeleton's name is Roland, by the way. Those are fake mock-ups of magazines we invented. So there's Cat Chronicles, which is the magazine for today's cat. We have Fractional Geographic. There's Better Gnomes and Gardens, the Outdoor Edition. But there's also information on the front of the Ofrenda, which gives you information on how to find good quality stuff. So some of the tips we have on there include check your authorship. Who's writing these articles? Is it an article, in fact? Are you reading an article or an opinion piece? And what kind of agenda do they have to focus on? Also look for credible sources. There's been a real pulling away from mainstream media because it's, quote, biased or, quote, agenda driven, unquote, when statistically it's really not. And the Pew Trust has done a number of surveys that demonstrate this, that the bias really isn't where you think it is. But people are pulling away from things like the New York Times or the Washington Post or CBS or NBC because of these perceived issues with these news outlets. The perception is incorrect. The credible source is still credible, and we can prove that it's credible. But it's very hard, I think, for a lot of people to believe that because of this propensity for misinformation over the last 4 years. Other tips we have include check the date and time because news, like milk, has an expiration date. And the other one is look for low bias or low emotion. A news article is meant to inform you. It's not meant to rile you up or get you mad or use charged language meant to incite a reaction from you. It's going to report the facts and give you sources to those facts wherever possible. So it's a way to teach people about misinformation and introduce the general public to concepts of good information seeking practices in a fun, lighthearted, but also somewhat serious manner because we make decisions based on the information we have. If we don't have good information, we're not going to make good decisions.
Thank you, Katie. It's definitely a different take on the Ofrenda, but it's definitely something worth honoring. Is So thank you so much for sharing.
Of course.
Now we're going to switch over to Mario, who is going to talk about his piece. Hi, Mario.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about the piece that you did.
Okay, so my Ofrenda this year is dedicated to the millions of informal economy workers around the world who had no option but work on the streets and risk their lives during this during this pandemic. For them, it wasn't as easy as for us just to stay home and work from home. Like for them, there was the only choice was to stay at home and die from starvation, or to go out hoping to get not getting sick and coming back with something to eat. According to some informal economy workers organizations, in developing countries, there's the informal employment makes up 90% of the total employment. So maybe something that we are not that familiar here in the US with this type of problematic, but in places like Mexico, these informal workers, they have to go out and sell their products in order to be able to eat that day. What it's known as yes, like the informal economy. But the problem as well is that the lack of social protection and access to healthcare are making them even more vulnerable, and they are suffering the harshest consequences. Also, street vendors and market traders are a crucial part of the society in developing countries as well. And for them, there's no online ordering or delivery services. For them, they don't have the comfort that we have at our places. So some of them live in, they share maybe 300 square feet for 6 people. So there's no AC. So for them, they're basically staying at home was not an option. And I basically wanted to dedicate my ofrenda to all of them. And so basically what I wanted to do is to make it look like a street. Basically, the Lady of the Death this time would be a street vendor. And that's why you can see all the fruits on the stand, and I wanted also to like every year to decorate the ofrenda with the traditional alebrijes that are paper mache figures, and all the ofrenda was handmade. The Lady of the Death on the back, and all the alebrijes are all handmade and painted by hand. Everything was done especially for this ofrenda, and yeah, basically that's what I wanted to honor, all the people that couldn't stay at home and died from the virus, trying to get something to eat for their families.
Well, thank you for sharing, Mario.
Thanks.
So for our viewers at home, if you have any questions for our artist, please feel free to use the comments section on Facebook or YouTube, and we'll be able to have your questions answered by the artist directly. As we wait for the questions to come in, I want to talk with Belinda again about her piece. As I mentioned before, there are so many little trinkets in there, and it really gives a good sense of your aunt, right? I'm sorry, your aunt. Could you point out one or two pieces within your altar that is fairly significant to you or to her, and why you chose to use it?
You want me to point out a couple of pieces in particular?
Or just like if there's a favorite object that you used in there, and why is it so special to you? What is the object? Why is it so special to you? And what did it mean to her?
I'm trying. Everything on it means something. There's a story behind everything. I think, and Actually, there's a little dish on there that has the sushi on it, the fake sushi. And that little dish was painted by my mother, her sister. That was hand painted. So that's a project that is important to include. And also the picture of Bruce, their German Shepherd. He passed away suddenly in early August. So we incorporated him into the ofrenda too. She was a lover and adopted animals. So important part of her life. And
Okay.
let's see, one more thing.
For sure.
It was one of her.
Oh no, I think we lost you. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing, Belinda. There really are so many things. It's just a wonderful sense of a person in that piece. So thank you so much again. I have another question for Mario. In your piece, you have a video, a slideshow of some of those images of some of the workers that you're honoring in your piece. Could you talk about some of the images that you find in that slideshow and where they came from? And
yes, so basically those are pictures that I found from the different newspapers online and different sources of information that talk about informal economy workers. And it's a video where you can see, for example, and I guess just to make it a little bit more similar to what people might be used here, it's like people working on the Eastern market, for example, selling their produce, and they have to face people. They cannot, especially in these street markets. It's impossible to have the stand 6 feet away. So it's just people like shoulder to shoulder, having to sell their produce. And trying to wear masks, and in some places, some countries like and it's not only Mexico, but all the third world countries or developing countries, you can see people with some sort of mask, maybe a piece of plastic, or maybe a piece of cloth, so whatever they were able to find in order to protect themselves. And it's a video that shows you pictures of different places in the world, from Asia to Latin America, even Africa. So many places in the world where we are facing this issue, and it's people that didn't complain because they didn't get any tax relief help or anything from the government. They don't complain. They just go out with whatever they can find to protect themselves and keep working. And I think that's something we should all learn. And instead of complaining from the comfort of our place, just to at least pray for them. At least pray for them to do not get sick. And that's basically what I try to represent on that video. The strength that they have to keep working and to provide to their families, and yeah, that's basically a summary of the video.
Thank you, Mario. We have one question from our viewers. We have to Belinda. What is the story behind the Anthony Bourdain book, Who Could Have an Ofrenda All His Own? Could you tell us about the significance that Anthony Bourdain had with your aunt?
She loved Anthony Bourdain. She loved Anthony Bourdain, so we had to include something. She loved to cook, but Anthony Bourdain held a special place in her heart.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Belinda, for answering, and thank you, Catherine, for asking. Once again, viewers at home, if you have any questions, please feel free to use the comment section in the Facebook and the YouTube page. Now I have a general question for all three of you. Number one, did you grow up with this holiday, celebrating this holiday? If you hadn't, could you let us know when you first discovered it and when you decided that you wanted to participate in it? And if you have, could you tell us why you wanted to bring it into such a public viewing? So who would like to answer first?
I can.
Let's go with KT. Okay, KT.
Right. So I don't know when I first heard of Day of the Dead. It's one of those things that, being around academics and being in areas where there's always been a lot of cultural interchange, I couldn't tell you when I first heard about it. Like I mentioned earlier, I've always come to the DIA's Day of the Dead exhibitions. I thought they were absolutely marvelous. And I remember the first one I saw was just extraordinary. It was where they had people actually dressed as Katrina Calaveras walking around and giving away sugar skulls. It was amazing. It was just a tremendous idea, both somber and beautiful at the same time. And so it was just more of like one of those cultural osmosis things where I was always aware. I decided to start really looking into the holiday myself when my mother died, which was October of 2016. So I now have something, I wouldn't call it a full altar, but it is something that memorializes her spirit and allows a certain level of comfort, at least on my end. I am fully aware that it is not a perfect example or a perfect representation of a holiday. I'm the first to admit that. But it does have significant meaning for me, and it does help. I'll be honest, it helps. And I decided to do this altar this year because of COVID, because there aren't too many avenues for teaching about misinformation right now. I was part of a research project with Indiana University Northwest, where we were trying to teach misinformation techniques to seniors. We had one presentation underway and COVID hit. So our entire research project was scrapped as a result. So we needed another way to get out misinformation techniques. And this just seemed like a ripe opportunity, just an interesting way to reinterpret that and figure out how to publicly present information on misinformation to people who really need to hear it.
Okay, thank you. Mario or Belinda, do you want to touch on the question that I asked?
If Belinda wants to go first.
I think I mentioned our grandmother was Mexican, and she passed away in 2002. And I like the idea that, I could out a little snack for her and she'd come and visit. And I did that for many, many years. And I gladly do it for, any of my loved ones. I love the idea that it is less about loss and more about remembering and honoring. And that was very important, and still is. So, if I can just have 1 or 2 days a year, I'll take it. where they're back with me. So.
And Mario?
Yeah, so I grew up in Mexico. I lived the first 28 years of my life in Mexico. So this is a tradition that it's part of me. So I remember from not only my parents taking me to the cemeteries to see all the ofrendas, but also like at home. I remember my mom leaving every the 31st, because in Mexico is the 1st and the 2nd, right? So the 31st, leaving a glass of water and as part of a small ofrenda that she would put at home. And I always like the next day, as a kid, you don't know that it's maybe evaporation. You don't know why, but the next day there was less water, always. So I remember like asking my mom like what happened, and she would explain me that the spirits or our loved ones would come and drink water and eat some of the bread. And I grew up, listening to those stories, and to me that example of the water will always, be on my mind, because as a kid, that's you believe it, right? And you I don't know, it's like a magical time for everybody. because there's things that you see that are happening and that you cannot explain as a kid, So that was the first years of my life. Then you start going to cemeteries, seeing ofrendas, and it's having a very religious country as well. It's very interesting to see the interaction between the religion and the Day of the Dead. And it's something that I think it just becomes part of you. So to me, this represents a very important part of the year, because not only because I like the holiday, let's say, but because it reminds me of all the things that I grew up with, and I think it's something very nice, and I think it's something that more people should teach their kids, to have respect and love for the people that have died, and for all their achievements, and just because, if it's not because of them, we wouldn't be here. So I think that's it's another reason for everybody to celebrate this holiday.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mario, Katie, and Belinda. And thank you to all of our viewers at home. Once again, if you haven't yet been able to check out the exhibition at the DIA, it is on view now through this coming Sunday, November 8th. We do ask that you make reservations before you come, just because we have capacity limits. But it is free with general admission, which is free to all of our Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb County residents. So if you are able to, please come by. If not, please do visit our website at dia.org/Ofrendas2020, and you can visit the entire exhibition online. Thank you again for everyone for watching. Thank you to all of our artists who participated, all of our viewers who participated with questions. If you want to keep asking questions, our social media moderator will see them, and they can send them our way, and we'll try to get those answered for you. Thank you again. Have a happy Day of the Dead, and keep those memories alive. Bye.